Hi, this is Jason Fielder with the Daily Forex Report for September 10th. Looking at the US Japanese yen pair, I'm expecting this pair to move between 108.21 on the high side and on the lower side around 106.30. As far as resistance, look for resistance around the same area as the 108.21. As far as support coming into the market, I'm looking for support at 106.80. This pair is closed up today, is moving somewhat sideways, and but the bias is to the downside currently. Now looking at the EUR-USD pair, this pair closed down today and moved lower. It is trending lower. The bias is to the downside. I am looking for this session to be somewhere between 142.10 on the very high side, and on the low side it looks like we may have touched the range already at 139.47. I'm looking for some resistance to come into the market a little bit higher or a little bit lower than our range at 141.31 if the market pulls back, and it appears that it might. Now, something interesting about this pair, if you want to look at the weekly time frame, let's zoom out there and zoom back in a little bit. Is what we're looking for here is for this particular pair to move lower. It's pretty much wide open down to about the 1.3850 level. And what I would do is look for a pullback during this next session. Of course, we're looking on the weekly time frame, but go ahead and look for a pullback to the upside. At that point, go ahead and sell short and look for this particular area at the 138.50 point. It'd be a good place to exit this particular trade. You know, look for it to go to that point. Now let's zoom back in and look at the day time frame. You know, that'd be a pretty good run, a little bit over 150 pips or 125 pips, somewhere around that neighborhood. Look to put a stop loss. If you're going to put a stop loss somewhere, you probably want to put it around this 1.4045 area. So that's just a trade. The risk to reward would be should be fairly decent, and the market should move on down to that point with not too many problems. Now switching over to the pound US dollar pair, I'm looking for this pair to move lower. The bias is to the downside, of course, and I'm looking for the range to be between 1.7709 and on the lower side at 174.70. As far as resistance coming into the market, I am looking for it to come into the market a little bit lower at 176.07. So you may want to take note of that particular level. Now, if you notice, we did have a inside bar created previously, and we were looking for a break of this low to sell short. That did not occur prior to the close today, but if you notice here, we have another inside bar, and it's already broken this low and is heading lower. So if you caught that right at the close, that we created a new inside bar, you may have taken that and you would be up currently. Now let's take a look at the Swiss. This particular pair moved up, actually during this new session broke this high that we have here, which is a good sign that we should continue higher, even though it's pulled back a little bit. I'm looking for this particular pair to be, its range to be between 114.07. That may be a hair low, and this the lower end of our range at 112.13, and this may be a little low as well. I'm looking for resistance to come into this market if it does move higher around 114.74, and as far as support, look for support at 113.15. This pair is moving up, and the bias is definitely to the upside. This pair also had an inside bar created previously that we were looking for a break of this high. That basically happened at the close of the session. So if you drop down to the hour time frame and took that trade, you'd be about break even right now because it's pulled back, but we were up about 30 pips or so during the beginning of this session. So we'll have to see how that trade plays out on the hour time frame. We do have I guess the pound had their trade balance, and it was worse than expected. This helped the downward move in the pound US dollar today. The New Zealand dollar, big news on it, it dropped its rate to 7.5% from 8%, which was unexpected. It's a quarter more than expected. And if you take a look at the New Zealand dollar, US dollar, you can definitely see the impact that had on the market. The U.S. has their trade balance for July being released tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. The consensus is that the trade balance has increased from negative 56.8 billion to negative 58.0 billion. If you trade the news, the trade balance report is around number 4 or 5 as far as the top movers for the U.S. dollar. If it comes out unexpected, a lot unexpected, it can definitely move the market. If you trade the news, this would be one you'd want to take note of. Later in the day, we have the New Zealand dollar releasing their retail sales for July, and that's going to be at 5:45 p.m. Eastern Time. There's no real consensus currently. Now, the Japanese yen have their gross domestic product for the second quarter being released at 7:50 p.m., and it's the consensus is that it's dropped from negative 0.6% to negative 0.7%. And year to date, it has dropped from negative 2.4% to negative 3%. So that can't be good news for the Japanese yen. So definitely look for the U.S. Japanese yen to move higher, assuming that news release is correct. So until tomorrow, this is Jason Fielder. Good trading.